work is supposed to be redefined in a way that companies allow for a much more holistic way of coming to work, in the sense that organizations become much more flat, hierarchies start to dilute, people are a lot more self-driven, and teams are a lot more self-organized.
Good morning, everyone. I am Maya Valencia de Backhaus from the Intelligent Enterprise Institute. Welcome to our Envision Beyond interview series. Today, we have the opportunity to be part of a dialogue between two experts and thought leaders on the effects of technology in human collaboration and new work practitioners. Please welcome Alejandro García Machuca, Customer Success Architect and Collaboration Designer at MURAL, and Fabian Leitz, Collaboration Designer and Service and Product Owner at SAP. Alejandro and Fabian, it's so great to have you both with us today. What we would like to know from you is mostly how technology can actually make the future of work more human. Welcome.
Thank you, Maya. Thank you for having us.
Thank you so much. It's a pleasure to be here.
Alejandro, just to kick things off here, I want to start with a question to you. We've been invited to talk about the human side of future of work. What was your first impression when you heard that question? I can share mine afterwards as well if you want to.
Yeah, so I'm quite influenced by the work of Frédéric Laloux and the whole new work frontier of how work is supposed to be redefined in a way that companies allow for a much more holistic way of coming to work, in the sense that organizations become much more flat, hierarchies start to dilute, people are a lot more self-driven, and teams are a lot more self-organized. Now, how that is affected by technology is what we're going to talk about a little bit later. But the first thing that pops to mind is that whole thing of the trend of new work that has been now going on for a few years.
Awesome, thank you. Yeah. Also, when I heard this question for the first time, for me it was the human side of future of work. My first impression was what else, right? So the future of work is about humans, about human interaction. But I, as working in a technology company, also know that there are different perspectives on that. So speaking about tech, speaking about AI, speaking about all the things which changed the way how we work. But at the end, for me, the human is somehow in the focus. And I think there are also different perspectives from the industry. So let's say this here at the beginning. So we're both working in tech industry, in the software industry. So I think our perspectives mainly come influenced from our experience here. What are your thoughts on what will change with the technical evolution, or what has already changed in the past years?
Well, I think there's two dimensions to this question. The first one is what is happening, what has happened already, and what do we hope to happen. So the first one is what I see is that people are being a lot more adaptive to the way technology is helping them to make up for more time. So again, one of the examples I have is how easy it is becoming to book time in my peers' calendars in MURAL, because we're using technology to help us to find spots for focus work. So we're getting more and more time in our weeks for work that takes several hours of concentration, because that's what deep work is all about, which is another thing about future work. Another thing we're also helping out to accomplish our customers is to think a lot more creatively about asynchronous work through software as well. So again, we don't have to be meeting at the same time every time to accomplish work. People are becoming a lot more accommodating to other people's time zones, other people's schedules, other people's styles of communication even, because sometimes people communicate through video, which I use a lot. Some people communicate through written or even audio notes, and because they articulate their thoughts so much better. So that's what's happening already. Now, what are we hoping technology to do for us in the future? Well, we're hoping that technology allows us to not do any work that is repetitive, that we focus a lot more in creative work, that we focus a lot more in fulfilling work. But at the same time, we need to educate this technology in order for us to be more human and more present at work, we need to take the time to also help our technology to catch up to what we want it to do for us. Because AI on its own and machine learning on its own is not going to help us unless we think and how to embed that technology into our daily routine.
Interesting. Yeah, you said we're getting rid somehow of repetitive work. It's like also maybe work which is not really meaningful, freeing up time for collaboration, which hopefully, and I don't foresee this now, but that the human collaboration, the co-creation that we also both like have in the center of our work will be more in focus. What are your thoughts about that? Is collaboration somehow a human superpower?
Well, I mean, according to Noah Harari, it is. I mean, yeah, I mean, it depends on how we define collaboration and how seriously we take it. So again, that's the biggest thing that I've been working on for the past months, and I've been working with you about this, is bringing the intentionality into collaboration. So not leaving collaboration to chance. Collaboration is a human superpower as long as we consider it to be a superpower and as we exercise it and get better at it. The focus of work has been for a very long time on the hard skills, what we consider it to be functional skills like programming or like engineering skills or mathematical skills. Like, the problem that we're seeing is that, not the problem, but what I'm starting to see in my work and what I've seen in previous roles I've had, is that the soft skills, now called professional skills in the world of learning, in professional and adult learning, are getting a lot more, are becoming a lot more important. The people are starting to realize that having soft skills is just as important, if not more, than having certain levels of knowledge. For example, the skill to learn and unlearn. I start to feel that people are opening up to the possibility to participating differently. They don't want to just go back to where we used to be, because a lot of people have realized that some of the things that this whole situation has brought us are good, as long as we understand that we have to combine them with what we used to have or what's coming. Hybrid is the big thing to tackle in my eyes in the future. The whole thing of how do we balance a group of people that can be together, going back to the language barrier, a lot of people that are going to be co-located, that it might be actually having a conversation in their own language, so the nuance of their creativity is not lost, while some other expert in another part of the world is able to not only add his or her input, but also build on top of what that group of people is accomplishing together. That whole thing is where I see that collaboration can bring the whole level of work to a whole new level. Always having humans in the middle, like being empathetic to their conditions and their limitations. So that's what I see.
Great, good that you come back to the empathetic part. I think that's the one where I wanted to get back into this conversation, because you said somehow you learn how people live, how they work, how they are, why they behave, how they behave. Why is empathy and socializing important for that field?
Oh, because creativity doesn't happen in a vacuum, and work doesn't happen in a vacuum.
Yeah.
We have biological limitations. I'm thinking about, I'm a morning person. I'm a very early morning person. And I know that if you ask me to collaborate with you, my dear American colleague in San Francisco, happened quite a few times already, and you're in your first hours on your morning, and I'm actually at the sunset of my work day. If you want me to collaborate with you, there are certain parts of our collaboration efforts that I need to do on my own. And you need to be mindful to accommodate that activity that I could do on my own at my best. So when we meet and we're together, we use that time for the thing that I cannot do on my own, or that we shouldn't be doing individually.
Can we paraphrase this with saying maybe the future of work is more about outcome instead of presence and outputs?
Yeah,
right.
Absolutely.
So getting to the best outcome instead of getting everyone at the same time in an inconvenient time of their life into meetings or even a room. I think there's another facet which I'm sure you also see. There's a fundamental need which is in that way of working, and this is trust. How do we get to at least a fundamental layer of trust, even without having ourselves and our co-workers and colleagues and even maybe customers? How can we substitute this in a fully virtual and remote world?
Well, it's a big question. Okay, so actually, the first thing that popped in mind was one of the trainings I had when I was part of SAP. It was a leadership training that a dear ex-colleague, but still friend, led, Joe Massey, that he was talking about the equation of trust. And I don't remember exactly the whole thing, but I know what was in the denominator, which was self-centeredness. I remember that the more self-centered you showed or you were in a group, the less trust. In order for everyone to feel safe enough, and now safety is a big part of trust, safety, psychological safety, which is a huge topic when it comes to this, is how can we bring everyone to a place where is psychologically safe enough, even though people don't know each other, to first of all respect one another, in the sense that all of us come with our backgrounds, our ideas, our education, our creativity. We take for granted that all of you are very capable professionals. That's why we're doing this exercise. Yeah. Step number one. So bringing that whole level of respect in the room, that's step number one. How can you do that? Well, you allow people to ice break. You allow people to get to know each other just enough so they realize I'm surrounded by a group of very, very capable and creative individuals. That's how you build the trust. Trust takes time, but for the purpose of that collaboration, it can be accomplished that way.
How is technology and the way that the tools that we are creating, enhancing, and offering to our employees are supporting to building up this psychological safety and this trust while working in two separate corners of the world?
Good question. How is technology helping us with this? I think technology is the enabler for it, and methods are the key to success for getting psychological safetyness. I would also say time is the key for success. So making room for trust-building exercises, making room for socializing in the virtual world. And the good thing is we started this conversation also by what is the future of work. It's taking away repetitive work. It's taking away work which is less meaningful. We should take a part of that freed up time to lead remote collaboration, have time for socializing, start sessions with some kind of small talk exchange, getting warm with each other, breaking the ice basically, so we can work on a relationship that we maybe haven't had before. So we understand why people bring up things, and why, when we're also open, if people bring up, for example, crazy ideas. Maya, we're both from the innovation world, right? So we want to have our colleagues coming up with more crazy ideas that they maybe wouldn't feel safe in a space to bring them up, where they don't know anyone and where they don't feel safe to speak up in that way.
I mean, there's a colleague of mine that loves saying, invest time to make time. So she's an expert in collaboration design. So she's been focused on the human methodological part of work when it comes to innovation. And she always quotes Albert Einstein's whole quote on, if I had 1 hour to solve a problem, I would spend 55 minutes or something like that. I would spend 55 minutes thinking about the problem. What are we trying to solve? Now, when it comes to a group of people who don't know each other and are supposed to be collaborating, is figure out what connects them. Well, that is what's going to make them collaborate faster and better. The quality of the outcome is going to be significantly better just because they know what connects them. Now, in a remote or hybrid fashion, you just need to be a lot more prepared. That's where the technology layer comes.
Out of your perspective, what does the word purpose mean in this infinite game of life?
I think actually, I've been something in my background. I've done lots of onboarding at SAP, and I'm now helping companies like SAP and other companies to design onboarding programs that are inclusive and that are conversational. And purpose is a word that needs to be deconstructed into, you have a shared purpose as a company or as a group of people, as a society, and then you have the individual purpose. Figuring out the latter is paramount in order to connecting your individual purpose to the purpose of the company you work for. Now, if the purpose of the company you work for is inconnectable or is completely let's say you cannot connect your purpose to your company's, it's a very hard thing to work for a very long time in that company. It's just a very hard thing to do. Figuring out purpose is something that it could be it's a conversation. There's leaders could make place for sessions or professionals that help employees to figure out how their purpose connects to the company's purpose. It has to be an environment where employees feel that they're growing and developing and learning. If they feel they're not doing that, chances are they will leave. And the whole thing of investing in your employees, because if you don't, is much more expensive. So again, that's it. You have to embody values of, I'm not going to tell people how to do their job. I'm going to tell people that I'm going to protect them and give them the means to be their best selves at work. I always talk about islands of freedom. Companies like SAP, companies like with hundreds of thousands of employees, where you just happen to be working in a team that has such a strong group dynamics and such strong trust that even though you cannot really figure out how what you're doing affects the purpose of the company you work for, know you're making an impact. So purpose and impact, in my eyes, are very much connected, because the moment you lower the expectation, and I've learned this from someone in SAP that I so much admire, Toby Hogg, that at some point he's been working in human-centric business for a very long time. And I see you both smiling because I think you both know the guy. And so Toby Hogg, when he did the work at the app houses, and then he came to Barcelona and did the whole work in the hub, humanizing business with salespeople, with business people, with people that have quarterly earning calls, with people that have to drive business forward, with people that they don't mess around their business. And yet he earned their trust through bringing the conversation back to what are we really trying to accomplish here? Like, what are we selling the software we're selling? Why are they making the technology we're making? Because we're trying to help the world run better, improve people's lives. The whole motto of SAP, some people think that is so high and so strong and so inachievable that they need to bring it down to the micro level.
Yeah.
I'm going to help my community run better and their lives to be better, the people I interact with. And that's how purpose comes into play. I think purpose and impact and scale or size of that purpose, it's something that it's very important. Those three things are important and connected.
Thank you for that. Yeah, good explanation. Alejandro, I know since we're working together with Mural now for 6 years already, and I'm in charge for 4 years, that Mural is a pure remote company, except the development part, which sits in Argentina. And I always found it super interesting how flexible and split apart your team is. Can you tell us something about how and what Mural does to create this unity, even though you don't have an office where you can meet?
Okay, so first of all, there's someone in charge of culture. So Mural takes culture very seriously. Like, there's someone who needs to make sure that the DNA of the people that are hired and the DNA that people that stay in the company is a DNA that works with that. There's a trade-off. And that trade-off is our team building exercises, our culture building exercises are remote.
Thank you so much. I just want to have the last question, maybe you as thought leaders and collaboration designers, which is a a role that I think that more companies need to start thinking of. From your point of view, is the future of work more human?
Definitely.
Yeah, it already is. It already is, because I already see these conversations happening. So this is good. This is good.
Yeah. It was a very nice discussion and a very nice dialogue. We are so happy to have your input on everything related to collaboration, mindset, trust, purpose, impact, how to scale, and how technology is enabling this for us. Thank you so much for listening to our conversation with Alejandro and Fabian, and on the future of work, on how technology will truly allow us to collaborate and create more human, purposeful environment. We hope to meet you again in another episode of our Envision Beyond interview series. Goodbye.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.